mechanism, etc. Starting battery, air intake, that's the tank for the wet exhaust. It goes in on top of the prop shaft. To port behind this is a refrigerator compressor. To starboard is a cockpit locker and some other space. Back there, there are these cabinets above the pilot berth and a drawer below. We've got a cabinet here. The floor of the cabinet is above the level of the cabin sole. There are all of those shelves. Depth is varied. Stove and oven with a drawer below. Cabinets behind the entire galley. Sink, refrigerator, sink. I've got measurements of all that. This is the, backing into the head now, this is the floor. Note that if we add to the galley, we need to cut that floor panel with the bilge pump access in it so that we can lift it out if needed. And here's the head. There's supposed to be a Y valve selector behind the head there for tank versus overboard. We've got a 3x4 grid of cubbies in here. A fairly spacious sink on the head. There's a large cabinet space for a first aid kit underneath the counter. Through hole in there. Forgot to mention, cockpit drain through hulls are in this corner and that corner of the aft compartment. There's one capped through hull here next to the prop shaft. The next through hulls are in the compartment under the steps. There's one there for saltwater intake for the head and one underneath for engine raw water intake. There is one through hole under the countertop in the head that is marked head overboard. And we've got two through holes in the space under the sink. One is saltwater intake and one is the drain for the sink. Okay, moving across, we've got three drawers under the nav table. They are fairly deep. I did not measure them. Nav table itself, I've got measurements. Behind the door to the head, we have 5 shelves with no fronts on them. And the battery storage is beneath the chart table. Moving forward, each side has 2 settee berths, a settee berth and an upper pilot berth. I've taken measurements of these. Chain plates are pretty beefy. The mast is on center line in the middle of the main salon. That's a deck tensioning number there. This side has a bunch of stuff on it, but the dimensions are the same. We've got grab rails the entire length of the hull, or the cabin. Port and starboard. Dorade vent here. Also Dorade vents here and here on the forward end of the main salon. We've got one hatch directly over the space between the galley and chart table. One hatch moving forward into the V-berth area. There's one hatch in the space between the 2 lockers and one hatch directly over the V-berth. V-berth There are some panels here underneath the sails that are meant to be shelves along the sides of the V-berth, but they've been taken out, which I think is probably a good move. There's a forward locker that will probably end up being our anchor locker, that has some other stuff in it right now. There are no provisions for an anchor on deck right now. And there's a knot meter transducer in here, and a blanked out second knot meter transducer spot here. In this compartment there are some additional blanked through holes that I don't know what to do with. They're not closable, so they should probably be capped properly. Right now they are, looks like, plugged. I'll look into that in a second. And that's our Fluxgate compass. The lockers are fairly spacious. There's a large open section in the bottom, and then 3 shelves, one of which is only on the forward end of the locker. The others wrap around in an L shape. The third chain plate is on the interior of the locker. I've got measurements for these. Starboard locker is identical to the port currently. And on the inside, on the forward side of the main bulkhead, there are some latches and latch and hinge marks. The panel that would go in here to serve as a hatch between the main salon and the V-berth is missing, but we could fabricate one if we wanted. And beneath the V-berth there's a fair amount of space, including some storage space on the under the mattresses on the port and starboard sides. However, those are difficult to reach right now because of all the stuff piled on the V-berth. I think that's everything I need to show. I'm not going to bother with the cockpit right now. Yep, okay, that's it.